The politics of defense policy is influenced by a variety of different factors, including domestic political concerns, budgetary limitations, and ideology. Making a defense policy is essentially deciding what the United States will defend. The United States' current defense policy states that we need strong forces and equipment so that we can win conflicts and defend territory.
Defense spending uses 1/5 of the federal budget. Some argue that the defense policy can conflict directly with domestic policy, but research has shown that the two are independent. Conservatives strongly advocate increasing defense spending, arguing that wars can still happen and that the fall of communism was a direct effect of increased spending. Liberals, on the other hand, only favor increasing spending to combat terrorism. Otherwise, they believe that the Pentagon wastes money and that a strong economy comes from investing in human capital. In the 1990s, a significant reduction in defense spending took place, called the peace dividend. The United States spends more on defense spending than the next 15 to 20 biggest spending nations combined and maintains overwhelming nuclear superiority.
There are more than 1.4 million military personnel on active duty. There are over 860,000 personnel in the National Guard and Reserves. Over 250,000 personnel are deployed abroad. The National Guard and Reserves play much larger roles now than they have in the past. Some argue that our allies need to play a larger role and increase their own defense spending so that we may lower ours.
The total cost of American nuclear weapons is over $5.5 trillion due to the arms race with Russia. President Ronald Reagan was the first president to sign a treaty that would reduce the level of nuclear weapons, which was also signed by Russia. The dissolving of the Warsaw Pact in 1991 also helped the decline of nuclear weapons. The Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, also referred to as START, first mandated the elimination of strategic nuclear weaponry, and START II planned on lowering the number of nuclear weapons to 6,500 by 2003. While lowering the number of nuclear weapons is obviously crucial to human survival, the production of these weapons creates many jobs. However, the military still uses expensive planes, tanks, and other machinery and weapons to keep the United States military the top in the world.
Americans feel a greater threat from economically competitive nations than from old military rivals, although the United States is the world's mightiest military power. However, we are growing increasingly dependent on other nations, both economically and tactically.
Military force is not an effective instrument of foreign policy anymore. Soft power is defined as the ability to persuade others to do what the country wants without force or coercion. Some argue that soft power is the most beneficial to a national security. The United States faces difficulty when deciding when and where to send troops to help foreign nations. Many nations look to us for help because of our military dominance.
Sanctions are non-military penalties imposed on foreign governments to change their behavior. These are often more effective and safer than using military force. For example, sanctions against South Africa helped to bring about the end of apartheid.
Many countries have found the technology to create nuclear weapons, which has encouraged the United States to deter nations from doing so. 7 countries have declared that they have nuclear weapons: the United States, Russia, Britain, France, China, India, and Pakistan. Many other countries are suspected of having nuclear capabilities. Our primary focus has been keeping North Korea and Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons.
Many different factors play a vital role in shaping the United States defense policy.